Welcome to Stab the Dragon Productions, episode number 147, whiskey review number 58. Tonight, I'm going to review a Christmas gift from a friend, Blackland Prairie Gold Straight Bourbon. I'm going to combine this with a taste comparison with the Blackland 100 proof bourbon. That was their second bourbon offering. The first bourbon offering was 83 proof, and I think I'm out of that. I could not find it in my cabinet. I was going to do all three, but I guess I'm out of that. I've got their two ryes and these two bourbons. So I'm going to do a taste comparison, but I'm going to review Prairie Gold. Now, Blackland Distillery is just 15 minutes from my bunker here in Fort Worth, and is one of my favorite distilleries. I currently now have, or thought I had, 5 of their whiskeys, and maybe it's just 4. They make the 83 proof bourbon and the 83 proof rye. And that 83 proof rye actually won the first bracket of my Texas Rye Whiskey Tournament that I've got going on. And I've had it divided by proof, and so the lower proof bourbons, it won, and then it kind of beat out the high proof bourbon at the end. Or rye, I'm talking about rye. But tonight we're going to do bourbons, and both of these are 100 proof. The first 4 whiskeys that they made, though, are not all Texas. Some of each one is imported from somewhere up north in Minnesota, and then they also combine some of their own stuff. And their own stuff is unique. They use Triticale in their mash bill. Triticale is a hybrid between wheat and rye. And so, that's part of the difference in Blackland's whiskeys. But now we've got what they're calling their premier whiskey, and this is all Texas. Nothing imported, grain to glass, Texas. So a little bit of a history here. Blackland Distillery is named for the geographic zone here in North Texas called Blackland Prairie. Runs from the Red River through Dallas-Fort Worth area down to San Antonio. I love the fact that a distillery and whiskey are named for geographical features. Just like Balcones is named for a fault that runs underground through that part of Texas. So choosing Blackland as the name was very appropriate. It's located just west of downtown Fort Worth, really about 15 minutes from my house. And it was founded in 2019, so it's a young distillery. The founder and owner is Marcus Kiprios, and he's a local Fort Worth guy. He was an attorney, and then he went to culinary school here in Fort Worth, and then he opened a distillery. The distiller that he is working with is Ezra Cox, who has well over 20 years of experience in brewing and distilling. They use some kind of a high-tech computerized system for distilling their spirits. So that's a little bit of the history there. So there, it doesn't go back very far, but it is local to me, and it's a very clear history. So 4 points out of 5 for history. Marketing, packaging, bottling. I have seen some local things about Blackland Prairie Gold in particular on my Facebook feed, I think, and maybe online somewhere else. But, there's no billboards or radio spots or anything like that. But, if you start liking stuff on Facebook, well, they feed you more that's similar. So that's probably how I got it. But I know that this was in the works for the past 3 years. The bottle is an upgrade from the bottles of their other whiskeys. You can look at the label. The label's kind of an upgrade. The bottle's got this gold thing and a little fiddly bit here. I'm not sure what that's for, but it's attractive. And they use the decanter style bottles. So, there's some attractiveness there to the bottle. So I'm going to give it 5 points because everything about it does shout premium. You know, it looks elegant and classy, and they've described this bourbon as being their premium. So 5 points for marketing packaging. Composition, Blackland is upfront and proud of saying that this is grain to glass Texas whiskey. They use local farmers from the Blackland Prairie. The mash bill, they claim, is 80% corn and 20% triticale. So that's a good, strange mash bill with the triticale. There's no barley in there at all. They say they use local water, which would make sense. And this whiskey is aged for over 3 years. What they don't say is that this is aged in, I think, more of a climate-controlled warehouse than most Texas whiskeys, because they have eliminated that famous or infamous Texas funk. That's the barrel char that gives a strong wood flavor from the Texas climate, is the heat and the cold. And so if you control the heat and the cold in a warehouse, then you don't get as much of the Texas funk. So there may be another process they do to keep that Texas funk out of there, but this whiskey does not have that. But it is 100 proof, and so I'm giving it the full 15 points for composition, because they tell you what it is. I mean, it's pretty clear, so that's good. Appearance, on a 5-point scale, you can look at this and see how dark it is, and it is darker than their other 100 proof offering, noticeably darker. For the comparison, I pour 2 glasses of whiskeys, and then I'm going to mix them up. But I need the black Glencairns that are blacked out, because here there's no point in hiding it. This is going to be number 1 on the bottom, and this is number 2 on the bottom. So there's no way that I can get around that visually. There's such a difference. But this is a 4 on my scale of darkness. So, and I tend to like darker whiskeys, so I'm giving it 4 points there. Nosing. My nose is simply not able to smell bourbon much at all. But that, I can smell a sweetness there, a little bit of caramel. So really, you know, that's pretty impressive that I can smell something. Usually, I can't smell bourbons. I can smell rye and scotches. Texas, if it's got a strong Texas funk, sometimes I can pick that up. Their other 100 proof, nothing. So I think there's a difference here. Okay, so normally for nosing, I would give it a 7 if it's just generic, because my nose is so bad. But this one gets an 8. An 8. Taste. All right, now here I'm going to do the comparison. Well, I'll just go ahead and stick with this review, and then I'll do the comparison at the end. That's got an immediate sweetness, but it's not a light sweetness. It's kind of a nice weighty sweetness of the corn, and there's some cherry in there. Oh yeah, wow, the cherry hits you on the finish for sure. Yeah, so once you know that they use triticale, and that's 20% of the mash bill, you know, I can pick up that that's not wheat, and that it's not rye. There's something in there that's a little bit different, and that's the Triticale. And that's one of the key differences in Blackland whiskeys, and it's one reason I love them, is that Triticale's in there, and it adds just a little bit of extra. It's a different thing. I've got a cat coming up here. Come up here. Come here. Come here. Come up here. Come on. Come here. Yeah. Come here. There you go. Okay, this is Felix. He's pretty shy, but he doesn't know he's on camera. So tasting notes, I'm getting the caramel corn, the not really any vanilla, cinnamon definitely, but kind of a heavier dose of cherry, particularly on the finish, and the mouthfeel is rich, and the finish is very noticeable, but it's only a moderate length. But that cherry note follows through, so that's really a very nice finish, even though it doesn't last as long as you would want it to. So for tasting, I'm giving it 23 points out of 25. And for mouthfeel and finish, 14 out of 15. You know, there's a burn, there's a very appropriate, 100 proof burn. That's spicy. Picture a high rye bourbon. If you got a 20% rye in your mash bill, that's a high rye. So that's what you're getting. You're getting a little bit of that spice and a little bit of the pleasant burn from that 100 proof. So that is really a very well balanced whiskey. That's awesome. So yeah, 23 for tasting, 14 for mouthfeel and finish. Let's talk price and availability. It's $100 at the distillery, so they're pretty proud of it, that's for sure. Goody Goody here in Fort Worth has it for $87.99, and that's the lowest price I've found, because at Specs it's $89.99. Total Wine on their website does not list it, but I'm sure that I've seen it in Total Wine, and that it's around 90, 93, something like that. So this is a premium whiskey, and it's going to cost you a premium amount. Availability, I have no idea. I think it's, again, at the big three here in Fort Worth. How far their distribution goes, Oklahoma, Louisiana, I have no idea. The rest of Texas, I would think. So I just don't know about their distribution, but here locally, it's very available. So I'm giving it 8 out of 10 points for price and availability. And in 8, I'm dinging it a little bit for the price. I mean, it's pricey, okay? They're pretty proud of it. So if this hadn't been gifted to me, I probably couldn't have afforded it. I've got kind of a $70 cutoff, and this is, well beyond that. Neat or mixer. This is great, neat sipper, definitely. If you're a bit proof sensitive, yeah, put some ice in it, because it will burn you just a little bit. But it's the pleasant burn. Now, I think smooth is overrated. I prefer burn, but I don't like the ethanol. There's no ethanol taste in here at all. Have not got that. But it's 100 proof, and it lets you know it. So if you're a little bit sensitive to that, yeah, use ice. I think it would go great in a cocktail, but I'm kind of against the whole idea of putting a premium craft whiskey as a mixer. I don't know that, I suppose you could do that, but I do know that at the distillery, if you get a pour of Prairie Gold, it's $20. 20 bucks a pour for this. So putting that in a cocktail, I wouldn't recommend it, but Drink it how you like it. 5 points for Neater Mixer. Bonus points. Obviously, I'm a homeboy. 5 points for my local distillery, right? But I think quality-wise, it's definitely worth it. So this gives me a total of 91 points. Letter grade A. My recommendation, if you want a bold whiskey that has a lot of subtlety to it as well, a lot of depth and character, without the Texas funk, then Prairie Gold is for you. This is going to be more along the lines of a classic bourbon, but it's got a difference, and that difference is the Triticale. That really brings a very subtle but noticeable flavor difference. And whatever 3 years in Texas did, it made this dark without the funk. So I don't know how they did that, to tell you the truth. So that's my recommendation. If you want to try a Texas whiskey, premium price, I highly recommend it. This is deliciousness right here. Now, I'm going to sip the other 100 proof. Just as a little comparison. And again, notice the difference in color. And so this is 80, I think this is 80% Minnesota whiskey and 20% Fort Worth whiskey. I think that's the mixture that they used. And to tell you the truth, I don't know what Blackland is going to do with this. I don't know if this is going to be discontinued or if they're going to keep it going. It'd be a shame to discontinue their other bourbon line. I don't know what you're going to do. I mean, this is a decent bourbon. And I think this is available for about 40 bucks. It's decent. You still get that hint of triticale in there that's a little bit different. With this, there is just a hint of ethanol in there. But the triticale really makes this interesting. Definitely. So this is still a very good bourbon. I am happy with this Blackland 100 proof bourbon. And again, for the price, I think it's about 40 bucks. I didn't research that before, but I will buy that one again. The Prairie Gold, I don't know that I can afford it. I mean, it's a premium. Well, at the end, I'm going to say that Prairie Gold would win in this competition. It's got a much bolder taste. It's deeper, it's richer. But that's no knock on the original Blackland. The original Blackland is fine. So, but if you want a bold yet subtle taste of triticale in here, Blackland Prairie Gold. Well, this is Stab the Dragon, out here.